Welcome to Mystic Moons. Not sure why it's pulsing like that. But anyway. So today we're going to take a little look into politics. Elections are being held to go and see who is going to progress on to November's elections, who's actually going to be placed in seats to enact policy for 2026. There was actually somebody who I wanted to do, but I was a little late to getting to that election. But we still can go and check out Cori Bush, can't we? Let's go over to St. Louis. Let's go over to Missouri. For some reason, now I remember why. I was actually up for a position in Missouri. It was with a company that had a whole bunch of franchises for eye care in Missouri and the surrounding states. I was going to say I researched quite a bit about the different areas of Missouri, what it was like, and I was seeing what kind of plants could you grow. Where some people could have banana plants over there, and there was like an Arkansas apple you could have if you liked apples, and they still needed like low chill hours. So apple actually was probably the most interesting thing I really liked. Made me enough apple or has grown one in a way. Anyway, we're checking out, going over to Missouri, we're going off to St. Louis. And we're going to go to Congressional District number 1. The district that Cori Bush initially had, and then she lost it to Wesley Bell. Initially, the two were friends, so the story goes, until he began running for politics. He initially was going to run for the Senate seat of District number 1 in Missouri, but then he decided that he was going to instead run for Cori Bush's seat, and he did so without telling her. She said she learned the same way everyone else learned. And I don't know exactly what that did to their friendship. I do know that Cori Bush maintains that because of her vocal criticism towards certain Israeli policies, that motivated AIPAC to turn their donation pockets towards her district. And Wesley Bell received about $9 million, they say between $8 million to $9 million of AIPAC money. Overall, thank you for the likes. Overall, he had $19 million he spent to win his election seat. Influence of money. She says that a good portion of that was spent through for media is TV, whether it is radio, whether it is newspaper, even whether billboards, supporting local activists to go and connect with people one-on-one on your behalf. Who knows, right? All the different ways that may have been employed to go and get Cori Bush out. with that $19 million that Wesley Bell had at his disposal. Anyway, so that was before. Now, Cori Bush and Wesley Bell are days away from knowing who is going to go and represent the Democratic nominee in the elections for the St. Louis district. That's going to be August 4th. So not that too long to go and see how these predictions play out. And that's what we're going to take a look at. Who is going to go and win that primary election? Is it going to be Cori Bush? Is it going to be Wesley Bell? I think I actually need another deck. Luckily, I do have another deck nearby me. I want 2 decks. And this deck is just as good. All right. Let us see. Let us see who's going to go and win. I think this one's going to be Wesley Snipes' pile. Oh, Wesley Snipes. That was a slip up, wasn't it? Wesley Bell. Excuse me for that. I think I read something rather gross about Wesley Snipes, the actor, and that still sort of is a huge distaste for me. Enough so that if any of his films come up, I don't think I can watch another one again. That's another issue. Wesley Bell. This one will be Cori Bush. Okay, so Cori Bush pile. Wesley Bell. Oh, you can't come up? Okay. Let's go and see, first of all, Wesley Bell's energy towards winning this primary election. This primary election that so far he has put $850K into. Wesley Bell, his energy towards becoming elected. I have a page of wands with temperance. So first of all, in Wesley Bell's energy, he really is moving cautiously. He's going to make sure any sort of movements, or has been making sure any sort of movements that he's been making so far, he's been making it so that he does not lose any ground. Also, too, in this energy, Wesley Bell is careful not to alienate any one of his supporters. He's only interested in positive growth, and he doesn't want to do that by upsetting things that have made him popular or his support. He definitely is, Wesley Bell, very, very careful about appearances, very careful about how he moves. We can definitely say that his PR, his public relations, his communication, so forth, his stylist, everybody, they have been definitely crafting his image, crafting the words, crafting how he moves, his expressions, everything. He's very, very tight ship. Very carefully, a very careful facade, careful veneer, careful cover. And let me say this, poor Wesley. Wesley doesn't want to lose this race. He's excited for what the future can bring. He wants to continue advancing in politics. So for him, it's not necessarily like he can pack up, what was it he before? I think he was a lawyer. It's not exactly like he's eager to pick up his law practice again. He wants to continue in this new direction. I would say desperately. Maybe not quite desperately, but he definitely doesn't want to go back to doing what he did before. So let me say too, in this energy for Wesley Bell, I haven't necessarily watched any videos or interviews of Wesley Bell, but in this energy, I would suppose that he's presenting himself as very moderate, even keyed, calm personality, calm, collected, assured, maybe a little warm, right? Like almost like that superficial warmth that people can actually believe in. He has that kind of energy here. Conversational, friendly, stable. That's what he's projecting. So that way he can go and keep on getting his success. But we have a Page of Wands. We fold these back. Page of Wands for Wesley Bell. I have the Moon. I have Two of Cups. And I have a Star. Bottom of the deck energy, 8 of Pentacles. So first of all, Wesley Bell and his bid for reelection. Let me go and say in this energy, who has Wesley Bell been talking to? Who has Wesley Bell been sweetening the deal, sweetening himself to? Because trust me, in this energy, Wesley Bell has been definitely sweetening himself to certain people. No doubt about this. And who he is, I don't know, kissing on the cheek or whatnot of some influential people. We don't know about it. I don't know if these are business leaders. I don't know if these are investors. I don't know if these are other politicians. But Wesley Bell has been fortifying and strengthening and establishing new ties, current ties in his network to get reelected. Whatever he's doing at the surface, that's one level, but behind the scenes, Wesley Bell is there making those hand-to-hand connections in this energy. Wesley Bell is busy. Trust that. Trust Wesley Bell is quite busy. And he's busy making the connections, face-to-face connections that hold power. He's definitely, let me say too, in this energy, Wesley Bell, he's doing everything he can to hold on to his seat. He's not taking this lackadaisical. He's also not necessarily just sitting back and seeing how it goes. No, he's actually holding conversations with people for whatever reason. I'm not going to go into it too much because, I'm not going to do like an hour-long reading on this. To see what this is. It's something. But, oh yeah, he is sweetening up the deal with influential people. And what I have here, 8s. Actually, it's interesting in this energy. Things are very much still in flux. This is a strong point. And what Wesley Bell is hoping to go and put himself over the edge is his word of mouth networking. Could also be in this energy too. You support me now. I can do, what can I do, or what would you like me to do for you in the future? He definitely is making those sorts of deals here. But this is very much in flux. This isn't solid energy, but this is very strong, hopeful, building energy. He is working furiously. With the 8s that we have up here, we're talking about destiny, fate, transformation, all those sorts of energies. And he is actively trying to go and push the tide in his favor. And if he can do that by literally shaking the hand, etc., of influentials, I'll put it that way. He will, he has, he is. So let me say, in short, for Wesley Bell is super busy, very busy man. And Wesley Bell is trying to make a lot of deals with some very powerful people. And he is offering things. I don't know what he's offering. As I said, not going to focus on it. I got Cori Bush to do. But yeah, so first of all, this is the energy of Wesley Bell. Doesn't want to go back to where he was before. He really is desperate to go and keep his seat. Just surprising. You'd think he'd have other lucrative pathways in his professional life forward, but he wants this one. And he is trying to endear himself and make sweetheart deals, or be a sweetheart to the people who can make deals for him. Okay, that is the energy of Wesley. Suppose I can leave this up. I don't need to go and fold it back. Let's go on to Cori Bush. Thank you for the likes. So, Cori Bush. Cori Bush winning. Let's see Cori Bush. Well, that was funny. I think I said Cori Bush winning and it like dropped. Anyway, Cori Bush. So, Cori Bush. I have a 9 of Swords and a 2 of Wands. Cori Bush is oppressed. Ooh, Cori Bush is oppressed. Cori Bush. I'm also going to say, just like what's his name, Wesley Bell is sweetening up the deal with people who we are not seeing. Cori Bush, I think, is hearing things from people who we are not hearing the intelligences that she's getting. I'm not saying like this guy is projected to win and you're projected blah, blah. I'm not talking about that. She's hearing something else that's making her apprehensive. You know, first of all, let me say with Cori Bush's energy, Cori Bush is making this run based on, do I say the integrity of it all? No, it's not about necessarily Cori Bush regaining her seat in this run. It's not about like a job, and it's not even about Cori Bush has just a simple point to prove. And it's about her own character here in this race that she's doing. It's about the character of who she is as a person. You know, almost like if somebody keeps on pushing you and tells you to sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, stay. She's going, who are you to tell me what to do? And what makes you think I'm going to listen? Right? It's that kind of somebody's trying to box her, to categorize her, and she doesn't like how that manipulation of her own physical agency went down. So it's not about her work. It's not about her legacy. It's not about her ego. It isn't even about ego. It really is just about, who you are as a person. So that is really interesting here. This is about proving a point. A point that you can't go and box her in. A point as well that just because you push her down, she will never stand for it. Gee, yeah, it's Cori Bush's energy. This is about ethics, about who one is as a person. And is it winning or losing? Well, here's the thing. Just because with Cori Bush, if she's standing up and someone pushes her down, that is not a failure to her. What's a failure to her is if she wanted to stand up in the first place and she did it, then that's a win. And just because outside circumstances happen, that does not reflect upon her. Her actions and what she does with external forces coming at her, how she behaves, that is a reflection upon her. And that's what her own agency is, what she has control over, and her own agency is what she does. I don't know. It's very, it is leadership energy. Let me go and say that. With Cori Bush. Okay. So we have, first of all, 9 of Swords, with this whole very much digging your heels in, and you will hear me roar. Roar, roar, roar. All right. This card kind of fell out. August 4th is Leo, is still in Leo timing. That's Leo season. I don't know what Cori Bush's sign is, if she happens to have any Leo qualities as well. I'm going to fold this back, but we'll keep it in mind. Let's go and see. I think since the radio is a bit loud, though, I'm going to turn off the radio. 1 second. Okay, sometimes when you can hear little snippets of background noise, you get a copyright strike. So we'll get rid of that just in case any of that was legible. NPR says, oh, you're copying our sound without any money. I don't know. Anyway, so we have a 9 of Swords for Cori Bush. 9 of Swords gets a 2 of Cups. Oops. My cards are slippery here. A Keeper of Coin, which is a Queen of Pentacles. I have a 6 of Swords, and I have a Wheel of Fortune. Well, interesting, first of all, with this 2 of Cups energy. Maybe that's one of the hallmarks of political leadership. as Wesley Bell also has a Two of Cups in his pull. She has a Nine of Swords, Two of Cups, Queen of Pentacles, Six of Swords, and a Wheel of Fortune. Well, interesting. Let me go and say that in this energy, Cori Bush actually is liked a whole lot more than Wesley Bell. Wesley Bell is sweetening himself up to powerful people in this pull. This is Wesley Bell being a sweetheart to those who will benefit him. But Cori Bush in this energy, Cori Bush has her own fan base, and she doesn't necessarily have to go and kiss the fingertips of influential people to endear herself to them. You have the Moon again. You know, the thing about Cori Bush, let me say in this energy, is Cori Bush really is her own person. And Wesley Bell is someone who will adapt himself to the situation, to the circumstances. So you have that key core difference between them. She's very much her own person. If your values and concerns align with hers, then you know where you stand. But at the same point, she's not going to go out of her way to go and be something, say something that she's not. This is true for Cori Bush. And let me say too, in this energy, Cori Bush is harboring, nursing, I don't quite know the word for it, but with its Nine of Swords, Six of Swords energy, Cori Bush, it feels like has been burned by more than one so-called friend. Wesley Bell was supposedly a friend before he ran against her. But it feels like in this energy, maybe that hurt, part of it is, or that life lesson learned, maybe part of it is from Wesley Bell. But I feel like in this energy, I don't even know whether to use the word respected or was comfortable with, because it's sort of in the segue of those two energies. But people who either Cori Bush respected or Cori Bush was friendly with, other people have also burned her in a surprising way. You know, Cori Bush is realizing, or in this energy, she presents herself as, this is me, this is what I do, who I am, what I stand for. And other people she found, when she was presenting herself as authentically as she cared to, she found out other people were only displaying a thin sliver of who they were, and there was a whole lot of deception. I have to say that here. Deception about who they were and what they stood for, and why were they dealing with or part of Cori Bush's acquaintanceship in the first place. So Cori Bush, as I said, part of this is Wesley Bell, but there are other people here. I don't know, maybe Wesley Bell's campaign, for instance, or his, political group. Maybe he was able to go and bring in other people that worked with Cori Bush before, or maybe there were something about this. Other people have burned her. So also too, when she's there saying that she has a point to prove, she's pushing forward while still being hurt by the deception of people that she trusted. And in this energy, it's like she doesn't quite want to be hindered by the past, but she can't help but be cautious of it. That's Cori Bush's energy. Anyway, Cori Bush is very, very strong. She's a stronger leader than Wesley Bell because she is her own person and she won't necessarily fold into more clout. So that's both her strength and her wild card. But I will say that overall, Cori Bush is actually liked a whole lot more than Wesley Bell. And I guess we'll pull one more and just see what the energies are here. But this is just how they're both, are vibing. And I will say that Cori Bush has charisma that Wesley Bell does not. She has strength that Wesley Bell does not. And if I had a little bit of advice for Cori Bush, the people who support her are they do far outnumber the people who would disappoint her. Let's put it that way. So she definitely can focus on the positive, even though she's experienced these backstabbing. I'll just call it that, because she is very much still reeling from that. Let's go and pull a final one to go and see who's there. If you ask me right now, I'm going to say Cori Bush has the heart of the people, and it looks like that Wesley Bell has the heart of the business. One has the heart of the populace, the other one has the heart of industry. Wesley Bell is sweetening himself up to money. That's the interesting thing here. And he's working quite furiously on that. And I think some of that apprehension that's in Cori Bush's energy is that Cori Bush knows who he is sweet talking. She's been told that. She knows that. It can go either way in this energy because of who his supporters are. He knows that, and he's trying to do an extra big push on that. And Cori Bush, is going forward on her brand, not necessarily what she'll promise other people that she'll do for them. Take that what you will. So let's go and see who will win. This will be still Cori Bush's pile. I'm a little curious myself. I'm going to do this face down. Let's see the energies for August 4th. I have an Ace of Cups, bottom of the deck energy. And Wesley Bell. Okay, so no doubt about it, a tight race. Bottom of the deck energy for Wesley Bell. It's almost the same thing that I was saying before, too. Wesley Bell has the heart of industry, the heart of commerce, not necessarily having to do anything to gain it. Anyway, those are the bottom of the deck energies here. For Cori Bush, I have a 9 of Cups, Magician, and a Queen of Swords. I laugh because the Queen of Swords to me is definitely one of the cards that shows a no-nonsense person. Could be a no-nonsense woman, could be a no-nonsense man, definitely a no-nonsense person. Cori Bush is not at all taking this lightly. Eight of Wands for Wesley Bell. Ooh, Wesley Bell really is. I don't know who Wesley Bell's supporters are. And a Queen of Cups. You know, I could say something about this energy about Wesley Bell, but I prefer here on Mystic Moons to try and keep my language as clean as possible. So I am not going to do that. I don't think there's a way I could say what I would kind of typically say in this energy without the bad language. So we will shelve that thought. I'll say this. Wesley Bell is everyone worth knowing sweetheart. He is very, he is kissing their fingertips. He is kissing their toes. He is kissing the air after them when he sends air kisses. You know, like the cartoons when they have the little heart. You blink. And more things I could say. Cori Bush knows that Wesley Bell is everyone's sweetheart. Cori Bush knows. Not necessarily. I will say that Wesley Bell is definitely working hard for his reelection seat. And you know, I'd be almost tempted to say Cori Bush will get it. So here's the thing. If people are sick of bull poopy, they'll go with Cori Bell. And if Wesley Bell is able to add to his sweetening vat of sugar, maple syrup, barley malt, stevia, agave, whatever other sweeteners there are out there, corn syrup, molasses, etc. All the sweeteners that are out there, coconut sugar, if date sugar, if what's his name puts out more and more sweetness, he could go and get some success. And he knows that. That's why Wesley Bell is so furiously working to endear himself to those who have money, those who have power. Initially, I'm going to say that Cori Bush is the favored one. The X factor here is, what's his name? Wesley Bell's supporters. I think I do have one more deck here. I have another black deck. Let's see if we can't just pull in one more card on this. So I'm going to say that Cori Bush is going to go and win that primary election. I do think whatever his name is, Wesley Bell, is an interesting one to keep an eye on, because Wesley Bell really is working a whole lot of people. If you know who Wesley Bell is around, I keep an eye on that. Because Wesley Bell is trying to win through the strength of his connections, and his connections are leaders in industry, they have money, they have influence. But the thing is, I don't know. Cori Bush's energy is more like a leader. It's more direct. As I said, Cori Bush doesn't have to sweeten anybody to who or what she is. Cori Bush is. You take it or you leave it. All right, so those are my predictions here. Maybe we'll do a follow-up before April 4th. Maybe August 4th. Maybe not. Cori Bush's energy is really strong. And, oh, there's another Five of Wands. Isn't that interesting? Five of Wands is not far from his energy. And Wesley Bell literally is promising all the important people whatever they need. He's kissing everyone's fingertips. And Cori Bush has some very strong energy behind her, very strong energy overall. Well, you don't really get stronger than a Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords, a magician. Also, too, one could say in this energy, here's someone who doesn't care what anyone thinks of her. You know, she's just going to go and do it. That's her whole thing. And here, Wesley Bell is sweetening himself up to whomever he needs to. He's being everyone's sweetheart. So those are my readings. If you appreciate my time and energy, thank you for the likes. Yeah, definitely do go and give me a thumbs up. There will be some other political readings going on as they go about, so you can definitely go and check that out. I see I have some comments. Yeah, I don't really read the comments when I'm doing the reading. I just focus on the reading. So, convict. If you truly are curious about some issues that concern you, you can email me. And well, yes, homelessness is a big issue. But you know, it's always been a big issue, and it's just getting larger and larger. How could it not get larger and larger with the prices being so expensive for housing? You know, I think it was in 2019. I was renting one half of a house, and the landlord offered us to go and take over the whole house. And I think she did that because she knew where I worked. She was like, oh, you know, she was probably thinking, oh, you're like saving too much of your money. You could be spending it on this place. And that place was really just like, some of the stuff was in storage because it was such a small place. And it literally was just a place that was easy to commute to where I had to work. That's why I live there. And anyway, this woman tried to have me rent out the whole entire place. And then she was saying for the woman upstairs that she was like, oh, well, I want her out. So what I'm just going to do is raise up the rent enough that she won't be able to afford it. And this woman, she's actually the mayor of a small town in central New Jersey. And she's been that mayor of that small town in central New Jersey for at least 5 years. I wanted to say maybe around 10 years, maybe under 10 years, but over 5 years. So can you imagine the mayor of a town holding property in another state? And, she knows what people's professions are, but she's there like whenever she wants to get rid of them, she just raises up the rent. And the unit in question that she was going to raise up the rent for was something like, maybe it was 300 square feet. It was like the attic part of a house. I think it was 300 square feet. Was it 400 square feet? I don't know. If it was 400 square feet, it didn't really make a difference because since it was an attic part of the house, the ceilings were barely 6 feet tall. So if you put your hand up, you'd hit the ceiling. I happen to be very tall myself, so my head was a few inches away from the ceiling. If I put my arm up there, like I would, like putting on a shirt or something like that, my hands would, be smacked against the ceiling. It was very claustrophobic up there. And then how to, in some of those attic houses, they have the windows that are close to the floor. So it's even more exaggerating the crampedness of the area. And anyway, that, I think it was like 300 square feet. And the ceiling wasn't even. And she was charging that woman, I think like $850 or $900. And it was literally a 2-room place. There was a bedroom, there was a larger area that was like the living room area, and then there was like an island kitchen nook. So it literally was just 2 rooms. Well, 3 rooms if you include the bathroom. And she was paying already almost $900, and she raised up the rent for that woman to get her out to $1,300. Can you imagine $1,300 for a 300 square foot place where the ceiling is like less than 6 feet tall? And then with that place too, you paid for water. Water came out to $300 to $400 a month. One time I tried to play with the water and see, like, if I washed, if I took quick showers and then maybe only took baths like twice a week, how much would that be? And I think it still came out to like 400, 300. And if you washed regularly and took baths and, enjoyed the water, etc., did the dishes, let the water run, did the laundry, let the water run, that would be like 500 to 600 with a water bill. And in that town, sometimes when you paid your water bill, they would go and give you a water bill of the amount that they miscalculated that you, and they would send it like 2 to 3 months after the fact, and then they would give you less than 20 days or something. You'd always send it like on the 15th or something like that of the month. And they'd be like, you have till the 31st to pay this or your water service will be shut off. It's like, can you imagine getting like an additional bill for a couple $100 out of nowhere? And we also paid for garbage and gas. And gas was a big thing. With the gas company, they'd put the tank outside. And even if your tank was 25% full, the fuel company, Bettini Fuel, such a ripoff, they would say, like, if your fuel tank was under 25%, that you had to go and pay for that full tank to be refilled to 100%, or they would take the tank back. And if you didn't take the tank back, then you would be they would bill you for holding their tank. And to fill up the Bottini fuel tank, that would be about $1,500 at that time. So anyway, my point is, you'd be paying $1,300, but then you'd also be paying for all the utilities on top of that. And with me, she was trying to get me to pay for lawn and snow plowing. But I didn't have a car. I took the bus. So I was like, why should I pay for that when I'm not going outside? I don't use the grounds. If it's a property that's around here, I'm not going out. I'm not paying $300 a month for lawn care. But anyway, that's just a point about raising up the money. This woman knew that the other one was there, and she raised up her rent about $400, and on top of all the other fees that you had to go and pay. And this woman is the mayor of a town in New Jersey. And I think that the idea of housing is very, very sad overall. There was someone else who I met a year ago, and he was telling me that his daughter owns this property in Maine. She owns a restaurant and a property in Maine. I don't know if it's Portland, Maine, or somewhere, but it's one of the tourist destinations. And she owns a restaurant there with her husband. They are an interracial couple. And she's Jewish and he's Jamaican. And they have an employee who rents out their basement. And this very old man, like almost 90 years old, was telling me about how this woman who works at the restaurant and who lives in their basement, how she has such the right attitude. It's like she has the exact right attitude. And I was like, what attitude is that? And he's like, well, she's grateful. She's grateful to understand how valuable it is to live in her basement. He showed me a picture of his place, like a basement. It wasn't even like a basement is a basement, right? I mean, it has no light. It's depressing. It has the extra dampness, blah, blah, blah. It has the noise. But her place literally looked like a basement with like a bed in it and a TV. It was like, that's a basement. But just even the attitude. Oh, she has the right attitude for being grateful. She lives in the basement. Okay. Nothing like having the right attitude on top of paying all your bills and your job right. Do you guys have the right attitude on top of everything else? You work correctly. You pay your bills on time. And you have the right puppy dog attitude to match. Puppy dog attitude to where it matters. Anyway, thank you for the likes and thank you for the time. I'll leave this up for a little bit of time. Bye-bye.